In our culture, we think that we could. It takes 20 years to give somebody aspirin, but it takes 2 weeks to know God. So Rumi, the school he has, is not about 2 weeks. It's not about even one lifetime. His school is about eternity. That we churn in this process. There's a conversation, I think, let me find that. It's this is a conversation with God.
Conversation with God.
It's called Talking Through the Door. You said, "Who's at the door?" I said, "Your slave." You said, "What do you want?" To see you and bow. How long will you wait? Until you call. How long will you cook? Till the resurrection. We talked through the door. I claimed a great love, and that I had given up what the world gives to be in that love. You said, "Such claims require witness." I said, "This longing, these tears." You said, "Discredited witness." I said, "Surely not." You said, "Who did you come with?" The majestic imagination you gave me. Why did you come? The musk of your wine was in the air. What is your intention? Friendship. What do you want from me? Grace. Then you ask, "Where have you been most comfortable?" In the palace. What did you see there? Amazing things. Then why is it so desolate? Because all that can be taken away in a second. Who can do that? This clear discernment. Where can you live safely then? In surrender. What is this giving up? A peace that saves us. Is there no threat of disaster? Only what comes in your street, inside your love. How do you walk there? In perfection. Now silence. If I told more of this conversation, those listening would leave themselves. There would be no door, no roof, or windows either. When Rumi talks about how to get close, he's not thinking that we can do this with a simple training. So his school is an eternal, it's a forever place.
So that's probably why Rumi has been growing and growing and growing. You know, because there are many philosophers and teachers that have left.
Come and gone.
Come and gone. But there's only very few that have really maintained, you know, and a lot of this is similar to the same path that the Buddha took and Jesus took and Rumi. I mean, doesn't it sound similar?
Very similar, very similar. And again, you know, we talked about earlier how there is this source of knowledge, which is either from outside of us or from within us. So today, when we look at religion, one of the issues we get into is that, you know, we have this big discussion about science versus religion these days, right?
Right.
When Rumi had that discussion, he didn't talk about science and religion as if religion was right and science was wrong. He discussed it as knowledge that's internal, knowledge that's external. Today, when we hear in practically all religions where there's opposing views on whether science is right or religion, it's not about the internal versus external. It's about the book that was written many centuries ago, as opposed to the book that was written recently. Neither one of those are necessarily something Rumi would put us into saying you should follow one or the other. What Rumi says is that knowledge that is gained from inside is what eventually gets you to where you want to go. So whether you follow Jesus or Muhammad or Moses or Buddha or Fred, it is not that external instructions that will eventually open you up to this divine. The search is within you.
Right.
The search is inside you, and as long as you have not opened that door, you know, you've been knocking on this door. One day when it opens from the inside. And that's a beautiful day for whoever gets there. It is that difference in the view that I think is bringing Rumi up now again after 800 years. He's, you know, selling more books now than he did then.
Well, he didn't have the internet too. So
he didn't have the internet, but nevertheless, he has more followers around the world.
Right.
There are Sufi orders that, you know, in India, in Turkey, in Iran, in the U.S., everywhere that they're, you know, following this message. So it's not, as I said, when we reach that point where we dissolve ourselves in this fire, then we could start talking about the lessons. The school starts after we have annihilated ourselves. Because this body is just another clothes we wear for a short time.
So we're actually talking about annihilating the ego. We need to probably clarify what we're trying to, what Rumi is actually telling us.
Right.
Because I see in my own experience is that people get confused, including myself, of what exactly I'm surrendering to.
Mm-hmm.
And I say I'm surrendering to the divine, but is there not a piece, a question I have to ask myself, is this divine? Is this my divine? Or is this the divine?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like the poem you read in our last session about the hawk, and how the hawk was not the king. He was in the presence of the king.
Right.
And he might have had some similarities to the king that he just took from the king, but he wasn't the king.
He was not the king.
Right.
So let me, this is an interesting one because there's a poem by him that talks about this love. I think maybe in this one. So are we in love with ourselves, or are we in love with divine? And in the presence of ourselves, without that annihilation, we have a very good chance of falling in love with ourselves.